What's up, Ride Warriors, and welcome to the Ride Warrior Update. We've got the Divas belt out today because there's an interesting rumor going around that one Sasha Banks is very unhappy with her position in the WWE. Now, this may come as a shock to many of you because, Sasha's one of the most, loving and respected wrestlers in the WWE. And she never has any problems with anything that ever happens. And, of course, her losing the new tag team titles at WrestleMania was a shock to her. And she was not expecting to lose the tag team titles. Maybe the only person in the entire arena that didn't expect Sasha and Bayley to lose the tag team titles at WrestleMania. But the rumor states that she's very unhappy with her position within the WWE, wants to leave, wants to go. This is just another example of another person in a long line of people who have been rumored to be wanting to leave WWE. We know that AEW's out there throwing around some big money, possibly. Dean Ambrose supposedly leaving, not really confirmed yet. We've heard people like the Revival wanting to leave, the Good Brothers wanting to leave. So all these people have lined up and said that they're unhappy with their position. Sometimes WWE rectifies it. But this is really strange, I think, for Sasha Banks to be saying this, being that she just held the brand new women's tag team titles, had a nice run with Bayley. I don't know if this is a work or not, number one. So let me throw that out there here first, because I'm at the end of this, I'm going to talk to you about how this possibly could be a work. But to me, Sasha's always unhappy that she's always posting this stuff on Instagram and Twitter, basically talking about her future and how she, wants to match up to her visions of who she is. And it's always seems to come right after she loses a title. That Sasha Banks seems like the type of person that's only ever happy when she's holding a belt in her hands. And that's the only thing that matters to her. And to me, we've had wrestlers like this in the past. You go back to CM Punk. He had an amazing run as champion for well over a year. But then when he lost that title, he kind of went down to the mid-card status and he struggled down there. They turned him face for a while. He struggled with that. And ultimately, we saw what happened. He leaves the company in a huff. And he just couldn't ever get over not being at the top. And I feel like Sasha Banks is going down this road as well. If this is indeed true, there's some crazy stories out there about her and Bayley laying on the floor in the WrestleMania locker room in protest over what was happened. Stories about how they don't think that the Iconics deserve it. Now, there's evidence to the contrary as well that shows Sasha and Bayley taking pictures with the Iconics after the match, looking happy, during the main event with Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte, throwing up the 4 Horsemen sign. But there's also supposedly deleted tweets and deleted Instagram posts where, Sasha's complaining about the only people who get pushed are blondes with big boobs. And I just don't see it in today's, yes, that has happened. You look at the people who do well, and there is a stereotype there. But you also look at who's currently holding the title, Becky Lynch. She doesn't really fall into that. Becky Lynch, a fan favorite. Other people holding other titles in the WWE don't fall into that category. Sasha Banks just seems like a person, to me anyway, that's only happy when she holds a belt. So I don't know how exactly she gets beyond that, because I don't foresee her challenging for the main event role, anytime soon. However, I will say this, though. If this is all a work and Sasha is doing this in response or in preparation for a heel turn, I think that may be the best thing ever to happen to Sasha Banks. Because Sasha Banks, she had a good run in NXT. Her and Bayley put on great matches at TakeOver. Since being called up, she's had a lot of good successes. She's won titles. She's had good runs here and there. But she's never been at that same status as she was in NXT, especially when she was fighting Bayley. And Sasha Banks as a heel, I think, is where the money is at. And Sasha Banks has been struggling on the main roster as a face. I have not really been interested in all of what she's been doing. There's been hints of people turning on each other with the Sasha and Bayley relationship. I think Sasha Banks needs to turn heel and needs to set up a proper feud with Bayley to maybe get back to where they were in those TakeOver main events. She can wrestle. She's entertaining. Some people say that she's a botch master. I'm not going to name names, Rusev, but, you know, be gone with her. But I just don't see Sasha Banks, you know, ever being happy. If indeed all this is true, no matter where she goes, she's never going to be happy because she's not always going to be the top guy. She's not always going to be the top star. But I'm really hoping that this is just made up nonsense and that Sasha Banks is actually preparing for a major heel turn. You know, and I think that's the way WWE is working fans now, is that they are working through the internet and trying to blur those lines of reality versus, you know, what is scripted. And when people go on Twitter or Instagram and make these posts, that's part of the storyline now. That's part, and it's hard sometimes because, you know, some workers and some wrestlers are working both sides, that they go on Instagram and they post stuff that's real about their lives, about how they really feel, but then they also post stuff, you know, in this character setting up for something else. And I think it would be great if Sasha Banks finally gets a proper heel turn on the main roster, because that's where her money is. It's not like she's selling tons of merch that this is going to hurt her bottom line. You know, people buy Sasha Banks stuff. I think about actually help her merch sales, that people want that heel, you know, the Sasha's Ratchet chants that we used to hear down at Full Sail. This is the stuff that we need to bring back for Sasha Banks. And her as a heel is where the money is. Her as a face, I've just not been interested whatsoever. So I'm hoping that Sasha Banks, I like Sasha Banks. You know, don't get me wrong. I think she's a crybaby sometimes based on what she posts. But I'm hoping that this instance is actually in preparation for a heel turn as opposed to her actually wanting to leave. Because I just don't know, you know, where else. AEW, that roster is filling up quite quickly with all the people who want to leave. And I just don't know, you know, what people they are willing to take and what money they actually have. Because they don't even have a TV show yet officially. There's rumors out there. You know, we have the event, you know, Double or Nothing. But right now, AEW is the big question mark. So all these people wanting to go there, I don't even know if they have room for all the people. So who knows? So we will keep you updated here on all the latest news and rumors surrounding the wrestling world. I'm, of course, the hot and sexy buff rock, Andy Rabarchak, here for Ride Warrior Wrestling. Right on, Ride Warriors.